Hello, everybody who's actually watching an OHL podcast right now, especially ones that is literally just launching. Wow. My name's Jordan Jacklin, and I'm joined by, let them introduce yourself. I'm joined by Josh Kim and Frankie Benvenuti.
I know. Thanks for the great intro, Jordan. Yes, thank you for tuning into our pilot episode. This is a really new project and about a very niche subject, so we appreciate you if you're listening or watching. As Jordan said, I'm Josh Kim. I'm not going to call myself a resident OHL expert because I'm not by any means, but I do have a lot of experience in the league. I currently work for the Barrie Colts, and I am credentialed on behalf of the CHL entirely, and I go to a lot of games and I specialize in digital content. So while I talk to players actively and I do all that stuff with the Colts and the league, yeah, it's great to be on another show or at least part of another project that talks about the league and gives it the recognition it deserves. So, Frankie, I wanna hear your
Wait,
intro as
Josh,
well.
specifically, Josh, what do you do with Barry? You do something
Oh,
specific.
well, if we're going into the specifics here, I am currently their team photographer, but also I do a lot of digital content. So I do a lot of long form feature writing. I do a lot of interviews, and just it started out as just photography, but now I find myself doing a lot of different creative stuff within that organization. So they've been great. We're running it back this year, and it's shaping up to be another great season for both hockey and content. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Who are you, Frankie?
I am
Who
Frank. You
is
know what? I'm actually going to start this with my idol. My idol is, in fact, Josh Kim, OHL's greatest photographer. I'd put myself like number two, unless Jordan also takes pictures, then I'm number three probably. But yeah, I do a little bit of work with the 67s, a freelance writer with them, do some photography with them as well. That kind of came on out of nowhere. But yeah, like OHL's kind of been my thing for my entire life. I've been season ticket holder since I was like 4 years old. So yeah, we have a lot of OHL background for me. I actually have a Stephen LaForme jersey back here.
So in terms of fan resume, I think Frankie takes the cake between all of us. But also, we're all from Ontario. Frankie's based in Ottawa. Jordan and I are based in Toronto. So we go to OHL games and we know about the league a lot, which is part of the reason why we started this because we were just three guys who were we're talking about news, talking to players almost weekly. I'd say weekly, and I just it felt kind of right to put that all in a central place and for the fans who are few and far between who follow OHL teams and care about deeply about the league like we do. I think this would be a nice platform to have a nice chat and some nice discussions about what's going on. Obviously, Jordan has some stuff planned for Frankie and I. We're gonna have a lot of fun on the show with trivia, and obviously we're gonna do our very best to bring in a lot of interesting guests if they're open to it. So definitely
Even
looking
if they
forward
aren't, we'll do it.
even if they aren't, we'll do it. Even we might, and we have some really cool ideas that we are envisioning to even just do, maybe even on location. So it's only the pilot episode, but we have a lot of things. We've talked about a lot of things, and we have a lot of good things planned. So we're glad you're here.
Now, before Frankie teases up with some Sam Dickinson trade chatter and the wider discussion around that, basically, the viewers watching might wonder why are the three of us together? Like, how did we meet? What events have we worked together? How many poutines have we ate together? How many, like what brought us three together? And
Good
I'll
question.
ask you, Frankie.
That's a
Ooh.
great question.
Well, you know what? Actually, we hosted in our beautiful, beautiful barn in Ottawa without a press box, the Capital City Challenge. And these two wonderful gentlemen here thought that they were coming to meet 30-year-old me. I'm not 30, in fact. But yeah,
True.
we covered that
actually
event. Yeah, it was, how long was that? Like, I think it was
That
like,
was about a week.
It's been
That was like
10
yeah, about a
days.
week, 6, 7 days,
Six
something like
days.
that.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
We saw some of this year's draft class take on the women's national team, which was outstanding. I think I ate about a poutine a day. I think Jordan was at about one a day as well. Josh, you were at about three, I think. So there's a lot of poutine that week. Very good poutine at TD Place, by the way, if you're ever there.
Yeah, that place is great for food, but that event in general was like, I know the fans weren't like necessarily as into it. Obviously, if you're not a diehard hockey fan, you probably won't care about the draft class of 2023 2 years before they're even eligible to be drafted. So I get why no one really cared about that event or even like, was even around to kind of cover it. But seeing the national women's team and also seeing future top prospects, I mean, what though, a lot of those guys are probably going to be like a few of those guys I'd say are probably going to be going in the first round in 2023, and then hockey fans will start to talk about them. But seeing them up close and personal and really getting to interact with them was incredible. So that's I think kind of how we all met, like face to face. And obviously I knew Frankie from his OHL work, and same with Jordan. So and Jordan and I also go to school together, so there's also that aspect of things as well. So all those factors combined, I'd say, like, kind of made this a perfect storm. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you don't really know where it's necessarily going to lead until it happens. So, we were all passionate about the OHL, and I guess here we are.
Fun fact, that's actually where we came up with the idea for this too. So it's been what, we're 6 months after that, maybe more.
10 months. 10 months.
Yeah. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, like, even just seeing like Anne Renee Desbian, we saw that highlight performance at that U17 tournament. And then, flash forward 9 months later, she's helping Canada win the gold medal at the World Championship with that. And everyone's finally, kind of learning more about her, So we kind of got that head start there,
Yeah, that was definitely an event that was, I mean, again, nobody really knew about it, but like for the people that were there, I mean, you kind of just had to be there in order to see those moments happen. So it was pretty special.
And Luca Pinelli put Bo Akey through courses.
Right. No, because of course he did.
Luke
Bo's my guy.
clears though,
Yeah, no.
Anyways, Jordan, I think you have some stuff planned for us if we want to get to that, or if we want to talk about the Sam Dickinson news first, or even the Owen Outwater news that we're all excited to talk about, because
we actually do have a structure. I know that might be surprising, but we can start with some Sam Dickinson news. Frankie, I know you were excited to talk about this one, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I think I'll pull it up here, but the exact trade, I mean, Sam Dickinson's going to London for, I think it's
surprise.
Yeah, right.
Surprise, I think it's London.
Pretty sure it's 7 picks. It's 3 seconds, 3/3, and a 5th round pick. So yeah, 7 picks. But it kind of highlights the other topic here about just players kind of picking where they want to play, which has become a hot topic in the OHL, of course, because we saw it with Adam Fantilli, and he wanted to go to London, and Saginaw kind of blocked it and then traded him to North Bay, right? It's something that we've seen a lot of. I kind of have my take on that, but I'm kind of curious to see where you guys stand on that first because I'm kind of in the unpopular group, I'd say, with that one.
Well, I don't know exactly what the unpopular group is. Like, I don't know what who goes where, but in my opinion, I don't like it either. That's my take on it. I really don't like that. I mean, junior hockey, and especially junior hockey, is I think it's a great community. Like, there's a lot of closer knit hockey fans out there that love junior hockey just because they have a team to cheer for in their own city. And I think that's one of the best things about the OHL in particular, is that anywhere you go, like, the fan bases are pretty good because they're in markets where they're not really accessible to NHL teams or anything higher. So the fan bases for junior are really, really passionate. And there's a lot of season ticket holders that go, that have season tickets to their junior hockey team, and just for that reason. So I guess, like, my main question is why you would, like, I know some markets are better than others, but I think across the board, the fan base is still incredibly passionate. And I don't think anyone's going crazy to try and, like, win a championship in the sense that they'll force other, like, that is going to be the factor that'll make other players move to a different city and try and play for a different team, because it's really a coin toss at the end of the day. Like, the OHL is really competitive regardless. Like, even the teams that were outside of the playoff picture are still trying to squeak in. Like, it's not a shoe in every single year because the roster turnover is so big. So I'm definitely in that group that doesn't like that, because like, where is the beauty in that? Like, where is the beauty in just playing for the team that drafted you and just really giving it your best and putting your best foot forward? It almost sounds like you're cutting a corner if you really just want to pick and choose what team to play for. Why even have a draft if you're going to just pick and choose what team you want to play for? So I know London has benefited from that, from, like, having players that specifically want to go to London. And I know some great people in London and that organization. And so nothing against the London organization in general, but I'm curious as to why people would even want to do that. So I'm definitely not a fan. And I think regardless if Dickinson stayed in Niagara, I think he would have thrived there as well. Niagara, I know maybe not the best organization to reference in a show like this, just because of all the stuff that's been going on, but like they are still they're turning a new leaf is how I'll put it. And they have a great facility. The team is a lot younger, and they've made a lot of moves in the offseason, like a ton of trades. I saw a crazy stat on Twitter where there's been like under 30 trades, and like Niagara's been involved in like 11 of them or something crazy like that. But
They're almost trading like they're a QMJHL team.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's wild. So, I'll never really know the reasoning behind that. I'm just not a huge fan of it, I'd say. So nothing against really anybody involved. It's just principally, I just don't think I agree with that.
Yeah,
Jordan, where are you at
like
in this?
I'm generally in the same camp as you guys, especially when a player is just drafted 4th overall, in 2022. You should be playing with the team that drafted you. Like if you go like maybe a season or two and then eventually the team trades you on that, I think that's a bit of a different story because that kind of makes a bit more sense. But if you're just going to automatically already have this grasp of wanting to go, I did highlight this in an article that will be coming out where I kind of talk about this whole Sam Dickinson situation. And it does kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth. Like obviously he'll be good in London, maybe for him.
He's gonna be great in London. London is a premier organization to be in if you're a junior hockey player, and he's gonna be great there. I don't doubt that. It's just I think like you were saying, like I think principally it's just something just sounds off about just leaving the team that drafted you just because you want to play for somebody else.
And what's crazy, it's always London and Erie benefiting in these situations. It seems like,
I wonder what
why.
that's about. Yeah, I wonder why. No conspiracy there. They're just really good organizations. Yeah. That's really it.
I do want to play devil's advocate a little bit with this one though, because like we do see it with guys, and where do they always want to go, right? It's the Londons, it's the Kitcheners, it's the Windsors, it's the teams that have kind of the status around them they're known for their elite facilities, they're good teams, they're even off the ice stuff, right? Like schooling is an important factor in this, even though the players might not want to think that, the parents definitely do. When you're making this decision at 15 years old, parents are an important piece in that. And even in Ottawa this year, and this could be a part of it. It could be bias ultimately, but Henry Muse, who 67th picked 7th overall, said that if it wasn't Ottawa, he was going to go to the NCAA, which it's a little bit different than saying, hey, I don't want to play for this team, I'm going to go force my way in a trade. It is a little bit different, yes, but I think there is an importance to allowing these players at a young age to pick what is best for them in their future. So like it's a tough one because it's hard to look at a team that they're sending their kids to public schools, and they're they don't have great facilities, and the coaching staff isn't great, and there's all this other drama that they have to worry about. It is hard to look at a kid and say you have to go there when your best friend is going to a premier organization. So I almost look at the organization and say, hey, if players don't want to come to you routinely, might have to do a little bit of self-evaluation.
If there's a player that wants to go somewhere because their friend is there, I guess that's when you kind of have a conversation of, because this isn't a professional league, we do kind of have to remember that. Should we be viewing the OHL a bit more professionally, or should we be viewing it more amateurly? Maybe is that another discussion?
Yeah. Well, I think there's obviously such an uneven playing field when it comes to some of the teams, right? Like if you evaluate London versus, I don't know, take a random one, like Sudbury, right? Kind of out of the way, nobody's really there. And obviously the facilities aren't as good, whatever. It's obviously an unlevel playing surface. So I think as a league, you almost have to look more at how do we bring Sudbury up rather than how do we stop London from attracting all the good players.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. I think maintaining the equity is really important, and it's not necessarily like we said, it's not necessarily about bringing a certain franchise down. It's more bringing the ones who are like seen as lower in the power rankings, bringing them up a little bit. And I think those northern communities especially suffer the most from that because the population is a lot more spread out, and there's not a lot of media coverage just because they're not really that accessible, especially during these harsh Canadian winters, because holy moly, they can be absolutely brutal. So it's not really anybody's fault, but I guess nobody really wants to be driving in minus 40-degree weather up north in Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie and all those places where I know London's not like insanely close to any like major cities either, but like it's still manageable to do. And I think London overall is maybe a little more developed as a city just in general. So really good points. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's going to be I think a constant issue that the league is going to have to it's always going to be a thing for sure, because we hear about it every year, but it's always like one or two players that hold out or defer or just get traded for an absolute haul of draft picks because they don't want to play in a specific city. So
yeah, I think my overriding point here is like there's a lot of people who are going to hate Sam Dickinson for making this choice, but I find it hard to hold it against a 16-year-old kid to want to decide what he thinks is best for his future, whether that's forcing a trade or looking at the NCAA route. I think when you're 16 years old, we should be looking at the best way possible to develop them.
Agree with all points made. We still got a few other preseason trades to discuss, and I think we're kind of going to group them into two categories because there's a lot of familiar teams that are actually making these trades. So let's start off with some of the other moves that Niagara has made, and specifically their goaltending situation.
Are we going to get into all of these? I don't think we're going to have time to get into all.
We're not talking about all of them, not all of them.
We'll power through. We'll power through.
We'll power through. Just quick hits here and there.
Well, the goaltending situation appears to be changing potentially in Niagara because London ended up trading Owen Flores over to Niagara in exchange for a second-round pick in 2024 and a 2023 fifth-round pick. Quick hits, Frankie. What do you think here? Do you think Flores challenges the current tandem in Rosenwig and Constanza, or do you think maybe there could be other options there?
I think it's tough because I really like both Rosenzweig and Costanzo last year when Ottawa played them a whole bunch. They looked really good, but when you pick up another guy, you almost think that there's kind of a bias now to want to put him in. So I don't know what they do. It's that's a tough one. I don't know what they do, but I find it hard to believe they're going to want to make too many changes to that tandem. I thought they were really good last year.
Yes, for sure. And the last trade we'll talk about that we can all discuss is the Owen Outwater trade. He heads from North Bay to the Kingston Frontenacs for a 2026 second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a Sarnia 6th-round pick. So, it's the OHL when all of these trades are being made with all these plethora of draft picks. Let's kind of talk into the broader conversation here, This trade to me suggests that Kingston knows Shane Wright is probably at least gone for a decent bit, at least to begin the season, because he's probably going to get the 9-game, that most rookies do, his status. He's probably going to play 9 games with Seattle, and then they'll see if they want to send him down or not. I think Kingston here is preparing for a world where Shane Wright doesn't return, and they see a guy here in Owen Outwater that's poised to have a breakout season. What do you think, Josh, about this?
Well, I'm going to preface this by saying I absolutely love Owen Outwater as both a person and a player. He was one of the players at the Capital City Challenge. We've talked. He is he's a very mature guy for his age, and he's just incredibly genuine with everything he says. So, best of luck to him in a new market. Kingston's obviously, I don't want to say crazy different, but it is different than North Bay, I'd say. So definitely like kudos to him because he definitely deserves, all the opportunity that he's going to get. And I think, he's definitely on the radar of being one of those NHL draft guys. About the trade specifically, I wouldn't even think about it in a sense that Shane Wright's not coming back. I just see this as Kingston trying to maintain their competitiveness. They're not going to have Shane Wright forever. They're not going to have Zade Wisdom or Martin Chromiak forever. Like a lot of these guys, they're like, it's on the right side of the bell curve, I'd say. Like it's approaching the end, and at the end is further away than the beginning was. So I think their window is slowly closing. This extends it a little bit because, Outwater, he didn't play a ton, I don't think, with the North Bay team. North Bay was absolutely stacked last year.
No, he didn't.
So I don't think he got a ton of opportunity, and they traveled to Barrie a lot. But he's a really talented player. Like, this is a guy that, you're right, is poised for a breakout season, in my opinion. And again, put him in the market with Chromiak and Wisdom, and I think he's going to thrive there. He's got a great shot, an underrated shot, I'd say, in the league. And he impressed really well at the Capital City Challenge against players his own age, obviously. So stick him in a bigger role, I'd say, and I think you're going to find a really good player. So that's a sneaky good pickup for Kingston. I don't know what North Bay is exactly doing, parting with, because it's not like their core is getting any younger either. So I that was confusing on my end. But yeah,
this is where I kind of wondered too. Outwater's an Ottawa kid, right? He moved a lot closer to Ottawa, so was that could have been a factor, right? He may have wanted to come a little bit closer to home, place where you get more playing time. But in Kingston's perspective, I think this is almost more of a like them just needing a forward because they have Alec Belanger playing center for them right now. And I know Alec pretty well. He's played a little bit of forward in his past in the OHL, but primarily a defenseman. So, when you have to make that change, it means you're a little bit short on forwards.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think too hard about this because our Zoom call is going to end in about 10 minutes, but we'll probably just start a new one up and it'll be smoothest transition. You won't even know that anything happened there.
Man, if you didn't talk about it, I don't think they would notice at all.
I know. But we can now kind of dive now into our next little segment here, just general OHL preseason thoughts. We can kind of give some thoughts on all of our teams, specifically pertaining to Barrie, Mississauga, and Ottawa, and then I just want a few general notes basically, but nothing too big. How about you, Frankie? How have you been viewing the Ottawa 67s preseason so far and what they're doing?
It's very hard to tell so far what they have, just because we haven't seen Vincenz Rohr on the ice. We haven't seen Tyler Boucher on the ice. We've seen Jack Beck once. There's still kind of this youth feeling around the team. And I think that there might be a little bit of concern because they've have 3 goals in 3 games so far. And, 2 of them came in their opening game against Kingston, where they played against some guys who aren't going to be in the league at the start of the regular season. But, at the same time, they've played Sudbury, who dressed pretty much a full roster. And they went over to Gatineau to play against the Olympiques, who are going to be a very good team this year. And they played basically their full roster. So it's very hard to tell. There's a lot of guys who I think have taken the next step. There's some who, you're still kind of waiting to see. I think Derek Smythe, you guys will see, has taken a pretty big step. He's a lot more confident. We'll see what we see with Luca Pinelli, but he looks good. And Vinny Rohr, when I saw him at camp this year, that kid's going to be a superstar. Like, you guys,
I know you're his number one fan. Like, you always talking about him, Frank.
I love him. He's such a good kid off the ice. He's very outgoing. We'll see. He's a little banged up right now, so he's not going to Canadians camp, is my understanding. But we'll see what happens with him. But he is going to have a monstrous year. He looks really good.
Superstar. That's an interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing if that prediction comes through.
At the OHL level, I think.
At the OHL,
100%.
Okay.
At the NHL level, I still think he's going to be a good player.
Gotcha.
But that's a little bit tougher to predict.
What are some quick thoughts on Barrie, Josh? I know you snapped the camera, but I'm sure you got some thoughts about the players while you're watching them,
Yeah, I mean, I hold an interesting role where I'm kind of, watching the game go by in a different way. But again, like I said in the intro, I've transitioned into a much broader digital content role. So I'm talking to the players quite a bit and interacting with team staff and a bunch. And honestly, I haven't been around much for camp or preseason just due to other scheduling conflicts. But in my eyes, this year is looking much more promising than last year, in the sense that I think we as a collective are definitely going to be pushing those expectations a little further. I know I heard a lot of people said we fell below expectations last year. I don't know what that was about. I mean, we were ranked pretty high going into the season, but we had a lot of injury trouble, and I think our guys did really, really well with all the adversity we had. Like, we had a lot of injury problems just throughout the season to just players that are impactful in the sense that played a significant role on a nightly basis. So now I'm even more optimistic, because in preseason, I know it's just preseason. I think we've been great. I think we've only lost like 1 game, maybe 2. We definitely lost Owen Sound, but we played Kitchener back to back and beat them twice. I don't know a ton about their roster, but we did it all with other NHL guys who are all holding out because they're going to camp soon. And we have a lot of guys going to NHL camp, which is another, like, a very, like, that, that in itself is a very promising sign. I guess in terms of like a roster preview, I mean, Anson Thornton is a phenomenal addition between the pipes. I mean, Matt Guzda was heroic last season. I think we can all agree he was absolutely insane. And obviously signed an NHL contract, well deserved. Anson Thornton is another NHL contract guy, and I think he really excelled on a Sarnia team that was maybe not the best, but I think he did really the best he could. And I think putting him in behind a team that is already poised offensively and has a good defensive structure, I think is even better. Obviously we'll hopefully have Brant Clark coming back, and he's back healthy again. Hunter Haight, obviously a standout player as well. And I think a lot of the guys that we had last year are coming back, like Declan McDonald was underrated in the impact that he made after we added him from Kitchener last year. He's wearing the A now, so that's an even, bigger upgrade there. I think a lot of those guys are poised to even have better seasons now that they have a year under their belts in the OHL. And I think this season especially is going to be a really good one, and I'm pretty hopeful for the roster that we have already and the roster that I think we're kind of planning for.
Yes, for sure. And just looking at the Mississauga side of things, they've been able to solve some of the questions they had going in terms of their overage slot limit. And ultimately, Jake Uberti won that role. And it was ultimately Ty Collins. Like Ty Collins had 31 points in 54 games last season. And he's not even an OHL player at this time. He had to be sent down to the Halliburton Huskies of the OJHL. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's just, that just shows you the depth that this Steelhead teams currently possesses. They're trying to win a championship this season. And ultimately, there's a few guys like Luke Misa, I think, will step into a bigger role and break out more. He had he's had a bit of time on the first line playing center.
He had some good streaks last year.
He did.
He had some really good streaks last year.
For sure. And, a guy like James Hardy is returning still. He is attending Boston Bruins training camp this season in the coming weeks. But ultimately, he's returning, and he's probably going to be a contender for some of the most goals in the entire league, potentially. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Josh. Our teams actually are tied. We have 8 players going to NHL training camp, prospect showings.
That's a lot. Week. See, 8 for an OHL team is a lot.
There's 5 in Ottawa, minus 1 for RAR, who's not attending, but
that's a lot of guys. 5 is even a lot. 8 is pushing it. I think that's pretty impressive to have 8 guys go. And you already know I'm a huge Luca Del Bellbaluz fan, massive fan of that guy.
Yeah, love Oli Bjorvik-Holm.
Man, this song's got some amazing names. Just some classic buttery hockey names.
There's some absolute trees on the back end too for them.
Oh yeah, holy cow, man. Holy cow. They lost one, but they it doesn't even matter. He's coming to TMU, but it doesn't even matter. But yeah, collective height for the blue line. Holy moly.
And just one more note, just so we're talking about just another team here. Frankie, I recommend paying attention to this guy, considering he's an Ottawa Senators prospect, Tomas Homera, their 2022 third-round pick, playing for Kitchener this season. Currently has 6 points in 4 games to this preseason as a defenseman. He's looking very comfortable. I've watched some of his shifts, shift-to-shift compilations. He's looked very good so far. So I think he's actually going to have a good season. He's going to be in their top 4 pairings, I think. So look out for Tomas Homera.
I want to throw one more out there that we didn't note down, but I watched Sudbury play with Joe Ranger, who you're very familiar with, Jordan. That team looks like they're going to take a pretty massive step forward this year.
That's really scary considering they're in they're in the division. They were outside of the playoffs last year. That's a really scary thought if Sudbury actually does take that step forward with all the guys that they have. And they were really young last year. So I'm assuming Goddard is back or Goyette, sorry. Yeah. And Quinn Musty. Both those guys are definitely going to take a big step forward. The Joe Ranger acquisition was really interesting. That caught my interest because I was like, wow, did not realize that was the direction they were going in. So that's impressive.
And Nathan Villeneuve too is one of the more talented players to come out of Ottawa recently, and that he's going to have, I think, a pretty good rookie season.
Well, it's just that time of season, guys, where this optimism is high for everybody. Let's see how it's ultimately going to be as we head into the O game historical edition. All righty.
You
know what? I'll leave that in.
We're going to leave that in, yeah.
What a great start. Laughter.
Oh, my God.
As we begin the O game, the first ever edition. It's a historical edition, as I'm pitting Josh directly against Frankie. And if you don't know what we're doing here, basically, me as the host will be asking 3 different questions that range from OHL events dating back to its first ever season. So let's do this. I have a first question here. I don't
Jordan,
think
that was wild.
What a journey just to get here.
What a journey.
Josh doesn't know what's happening because he laughed.
I don't know. All my knowledge just went out the window based on that. Oh my goodness.
Well, that should make this more entertaining. So for the first question we got here, I'm curious what you're going to say.
How are we doing the answer system? We don't have a buzzer.
The honor system.
I'll ask you first, Josh. Yeah, we're not that fancy yet.
All right.
So I'm asking you first, then followed by Frankie's answer.
Okay.
What was the year when the OHL officially became the Ontario Hockey League? The
Oh,
league
for
was
God's
previously
sake.
known as the OHA, and before the name change, were promoted to the Tier 1 Junior A level. Josh, what year do you think it officially
So this is going to
became
be a
the
shot in the
OHL?
dark because I have no idea. Like I am going to have to guess. So OHA sounds familiar, but to the OHL, because ever since I was a kid, I don't really like I don't search this up normally. So I'm gonna say 1978 is when they switched over to the OHL.
Okay, and before I can confirm or deny, I'm going to give Frankie that opportunity. Let's see if he
That's
picks
fair.
the
That's
over
fair.
or under. What is he going to pick?
Yeah, so I know that it's before or it's after the 67s were given a franchise. So it's after 1967. And I know that it's before they won their first Memorial Cup, which I think was in the 90s, I want to say.
So my guess was actually not bad. Based if that knowledge is true, my guess was not terrible.
Well, it could be
Yeah,
completely
good.
wrong. I could
Yeah.
just be an
Oh,
idiot.
okay,
Interesting.
But I'm pretty sure it was in the 70s, but I want to say 74.
Well, Frankie, you were the closest. It was the 1970-71 season.
Oh,
So we're giving
man.
Frankie a point.
Hey, I was
for
actually
being
pretty
the
close.
closest.
I'm not even mad.
You're
about
That's
that.
not
you
bad,
guys are both in the
considering-
70s.
Yeah, considering that was
That was
30
a-
years before I was born.
Yeah, and that's a wild guess on my end. So
Yeah.
God, I
Now
didn't think
this
it was that
one-
early. That's
yeah.
crazy though. That it was that early. Wow.
Definitely. And now we're flashing forward to present day. Well, I'm going to be very curious what do you guys say for this one. But we're going to I have a list of the top 10 players from last season that scored the most points.
Oh,
Oh, for
no.
God.
It's your
God's
guys' job
sake.
to guess the 10 players, and whoever
Okay,
can
I
guess
got
them wins. So
one.
you guys can work together actually for this. You
Okay,
can
sure.
guess
Let's
the
work
10
together.
players.
So I got one. Wyatt Johnston is definitely on
That's
that
the
list.
one I had
Yep.
too.
Oh, okay, that's
Cross them
great.
off.
Hang on. Okay, Frankie, we're gonna get at least, I'd say at least 6 of these guys.
Well, I'll
I
help
think.
you out
I'll
here. It
hold you
was
to it.
nobody in Ottawa.
Oh, okay. Nobody on Ottawa. Don't think anyone was on Barrie either. Brandon Coe
Yes.
is also on that list.
Yeah, two.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Josh, who was the overager in Kingston
Um,
that played his
Oh,
first
boy.
OHL
Keep
season last
thinking
year?
about Kingston too while you're on it.
wait.
Martin Kromiak was up there.
Nope, he was
Oh,
no.
God.
Oh, no.
All
How many
right,
strikes do we
Frankie.
get?
Yeah,
That's your first strike. I'll give you 3 strikes. That's your first
Oh,
Does
strike.
boy.
Can Frankie not talk now that he's
Frankie's adding rules as we go, so there we go.
So Martin Kromiak wasn't on there.
There's an obvious
Josh,
player.
was it Paul Ludwinski?
There's an obvious player.
No.
Paul Ludwinski was a rookie last year. There's
Oh, yeah.
no way it was him. There's no way he's even.
my
No.
God.
And I love Paul Ludwinski. Like
I'm trying
great.
to I'm trying to spitball
So
names.
we
and I
have
don't know who.
Wyatt Johnston,
Yeah.
Brandon Coe, and that we have 2. So we have 2.
Yeah. And like I'm giving you a hint, there is an obvious player on Kingston.
Wait, then if we go by that logic,
that was in the
then-
top 10.
Was Shane right there?
Yes. Shane Wright
Shane
was in
Wright,
the top
okay.
10.
Matvey Petrov.
Yes, Matvey Petrov was among the top
Man,
10.
he terrorized Barrie.
Yeah,
last
Josh,
year.
Evangelista went crazy last year.
Oh
no?
my God, Evangelista's on there too. So
He
that's
is,
5.
yes.
Holy crap!
Evangelista.
I can, that was the obvious one that completely flew over my head.
There the
Oh,
rest of them have
oh.
to be Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The rest of them has to be from Hamilton. So we got Ryan Humphrey, right? Ryan Humphrey.
Winterton probably up there.
No,
too.
I don't think Winterton was on there. I'm not going. I'm not.
Are you
confident
sure?
with that.
Do you have any official guesses?
Okay. Avery Hayes could be on there.
I was literally just gonna say that.
like,
He was
oh,
not
man.
on there.
Oh no.
Okay, good thing we didn't guess that officially. Don't tell us next time because I might have guessed
Okay.
that. So what are we at? We're at 5 or
We
6?
have 5.
McTavish missed too much time to be there.
Yeah.
McTavish missed too much time. Mishak did not put up a ton of points. So we
Yeah, but
need
a ton
5
of
more.
points, man.
I'm
I'll give you one more
inclined to
hint.
say James Hardy just because he scored a ton of goals. But I
Yeah,
don't
but the
think it was-
Steelheads
won't
didn't
confirm
score
or
many
deny.
goals.
One of the players that's remaining was on the Canadian World Junior team, specifically in the summer as
Oh,
well.
come on, Frankie. Brennan Othman, man.
There you go.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Like
This
him and
actually, you know
Evangelista-
what?
How are we
It-
forgetting them?
Yeah, in my defense, I didn't see a single West team all year last year.
No,
don't know
but
if
we
you guys
still
did,
saw
but-
them all over the OHL news though. Like they were like the headliners. So okay, we
Yeah.
have 6. So we hit our prediction. 4 more. 4 more good guys. It's just forwards, right? I don't think any defenseman had top 10 in points. There's no way. No.
That
Okay.
look is.
Look is weird.
Can't say.
Let's see, because we definitely have like the top.
I mean,
guys.
you're at
Now
6,
it's like
so you've already hit your goal. Just if you
I know,
think
but
you
now
can
it's
do
like
it.
guessing the players that were on like 7 to 10, like the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th ranked players. I feel like there's another Bulldog on there. I just don't know who it would be. And I don't think it's Winterton because like I don't think he put up that like an insane amount of points either. Okay, let's think about the best teams. So I think Cohen Petrov, that takes care of North Bay. There's nothing for Ottawa and there's nothing for Barrie.
There's no way Gushkin was there, right? Even though he had a crazy good year. I don't think that's a guess.
That's a great guess, but I don't want to guess it because I don't think he.
I don't think Niagara.
He was phenomenal, but I don't think he was like top 10.
Yeah, I don't think Niagara scored enough for him to be there.
Not guessing that. No way. Let's see.
Josh gonna get snagged for cheating here.
The remaining 4. No, don't be looking. The remaining 4
No,
players.
Don't say
there's somebody
it.
in Guelph. Oh my God, there's somebody in Guelph.
They're on
Don't
separate teams. I'm saying they're all on separate teams.
They're all on separate teams. Guelph, not Jacklin. Even though I love Danny Jacklin, I don't think he. No, I don't.
I think his name Matthew Poitras.
Poitras? No, if he was top 10 in points, I think he would have gone higher than where he went in the draft. But that's a good point though. But Guelph kind of underperformed last year, so like I'm not even like.
And just to confirm, when I say separate teams, I just mean like the 4 players are not on the same team.
All different.
Some of the teams you've mentioned, there could be a player still that you missed.
So there definitely is somebody on a team that we already mentioned.
It's not Zayd Wisdom. That takes Kingston out.
No, because he missed way too much time.
It's not Kingston. It's definitely not Kingston. Shane Wright was their only guy.
Interesting.
Oh my God. I would have thought Chromiak would have been on there actually, but that's a bit surprising. Oh my goodness, this is so annoying. Kitchener wasn't insane, but like even like I don't know, did Francesco Pinelli put up an insane season? Like
no,
I don't even
he had
know.
a bad year.
Yeah.
In comparison to where he could have been, I think if he had a pandemic year.
All right. Well, then what are the other OHL teams? Like we got Windsor. Oh, okay. I can confident. Like I'm gonna go with Will Cooley.
Wrong. 3 strikes, and you're out.
If Poitras is on this list,
who was our second guess? What was our second guess that we got wrong?
Okay, fine. You get one.
It was Winterton or Avery Hayes or one of them.
No, I didn't say that was official. Jordan just jumped the gun on that. And we were just brainstorming. He's like, nope, Avery Hayes is not on the list. And I'm like, all right, thanks for that.
More chance. Okay, I'll give you one more
was
chance.
Bo Akey there, Josh?
top rookie points, probably. Yeah. Oh man, this is gonna bug me because like I saw the list. Like we all saw the list.
Sue? Does
Bryce McConnell Barker? I don't think he was top 10 though. Oh no, Rory Kearns.
Yes.
Rory Kearns.
Yeah. So that's 7.
I think it's Rory Cairns, by the way.
Cairns.
Rory
Sorry.
Cairns, yes.
Apologize to Rory Cairns
right here.
And I don't think Bryce McConnell Barker, while he was great, I don't think he was top 10 in the league in points.
Can we throw my Poitras guess out there?
Yeah.
Fine. Poitras on Guelph.
Wait, sorry, who? sorry, I zoned out there.
Matthew Poitras on Guelph, man.
Okay, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
God.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. I'm cutting you off. These were the 3 names that you missed. So on Hamilton, there was a name left, and it was Logan Morrison.
Morrison, man. Oh my gosh. Like
on North Bay, Mitchell Russell.
I was never gonna get that.
Never would have gotten.
And we saw him in the playoffs.
And we saw him. Yeah.
He was Kingston, Lucas Edmonds.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
That's ridiculous.
Couldn't put a name to it.
Close.
Those are slimy picks, man. Those are slimy answers. Like I don't think we've besides Logan Morrison, which I think we both should have known, Mitchell Russell and Lucas Edmonds. I think just because Petrov and Ko are already there. Like how are we supposed to even?
I have to see where did Poitras finish, because if that's just such an off base guess, but I know he had a good start to the season, so that could be why I was thinking it. But
Lucas
whatever.
Edmonds.
We still got one more question, guys. I have another question.
Oh yeah,
it's another team one. It's I think you can answer this a bit quicker though, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get into some debates here. Last question.
Oh, sorry. Josh. Poitras scored 50 points all year. That was a horrible guess. Sasha Pastujov would have been a better guess.
I knew it.
That's
I
right.
honestly knew it. I'm like, no, Guelph underperformed, but like none of their scores like jumped off the score sheet. So like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think he started the year with like, I don't know, he had a really high number total of points to start the year, and I just kind of went, oh, he's had a great year, the whole year.
All right, Jacklin, hit us with that last question. I'm curious. That was a good question. I like that was a good one.
The next one's going to be horrifying.
The next
last
one's
question I have
probably,
here, I mean, it's up to you to decide if it is or not. How many teams incorporate the color yellow into their logo?
Into their logo.
This
Okay.
What question is this?
There's one team I think you're definitely not getting.
Hamilton definitely.
Hamilton for
Yeah,
sure.
we got Hamilton.
Erie.
North Bay. North Bay is another one.
Yeah.
Into their logo.
Erie's one now with their new logo.
Does Kingston count, or is that
Kingston
gold
definitely counts.
Yes.
So that's 4 right off the hop. That's 4. Oh, Barry, obviously.
Yep, Barry.
Ooh, that would have been bad if I didn't get that. You said there's definitely one that we're not gonna get.
Now? London.
How?
Yes, London. I thought you weren't going to get London because London has
okay,
like
yeah,
a
I was gonna
stroke
get
of
there.
yellow.
How many
And
are
then-
there? Can you tell us how many there are?
We have 6.
There's 9. I have 9 here.
9.
Uh-oh.
So you've
Oh,
guessed
boy.
1, 2, 3, 4,
We've
5,
6. We're at
6.
6.
There's
We're at
3
6.
left. Then the corporate yellow. There's one
Um,
obvious one that you're just not thinking of right now.
There's none in the East Division, is there?
Think of bees.
Starting a sting, man. Come on.
No.
Don't give us any.
I
hints
forget
like
that franchise exists sometimes.
Don't
to be
give us
honest.
any hints. Don't give us any hints like that.
Okay,
man.
well,
Come on.
one
That
more
was-
hit. It's final 2. Let's see if we can get it.
Oh my god. Not Kitchener because they're just copy the Rangers. Guelph never
No.
had yellow, so that doesn't make any sense.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh no is right.
Now, you
because
know
if we-
what? Actually,
can't even
I think
think of-
I think one of the teams I'm actually kind of wrong about. Now that I'm looking at their logo a bit better, so it's really
Okay, I need to know who you were thinking about.
I mean, I had the Flit Firebirds as having yellow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's not
orange.
yellow.
That's
It's
orange.
really
That's definitely orange.
Come
no
on.
chance. No chance.
So I'm taking it
Uh,
off.
So
Is
how
one
many
of
are
these
there
teams
now?
defunct?
So now it's just one team's left. You have 7.
Is one of these teams defunct?
Why would it
Defu-
be? Why would he use a team that's defunct?
I don't
though?
know.
No,
Just
no.
Plymouth has one of the coolest logos in the history of the
These are
OHL.
all active teams. There's one team
Okay.
here. I even had the thought, but this is clearly yellow. So this one team.
Okay, let's think. Honestly, nothing is really coming to mind. Like I know it's gonna be bad. When I hear this answer, it's gonna be really bad.
Or he's
but
going to be
nothing-
wrong, and I'm going to be mad about it.
Yeah, or that has already happened now. So, yeah, I got nothing, Frankie.
What is?
I don't either.
No
I've even
guesses?
tried to think through the divisions. I'm just forgetting teams exist now.
Yeah, me too.
Already. Well, it was the
Saginaw.
Owen Sound Attack.
Oh
The
my
Owen Sound
goodness.
Attack.
You didn't even include Saginaw. The beak is yellow.
Oh, so there were
Okay.
9 teams. That's right.
Okay.
That's my bad.
Let's just strive to make that trivia section better because like, holy cow.
Off the
I
rails
like that
already.
question though. That's a good
I'm
question.
taking I'm taking credit for my Saginaw because that was really pulled out of the.
That is
the
true.
back
The
end.
beak is indeed yellow.
Already. So we'll say you got 8 out of 9
Yeah.
then.
Okay, that's fair.
And with that, guys, this is the first inaugural podcast is over. Do we have any closing thoughts you want to say, Josh? And then we'll get to Frankie and then me.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for tuning in once again. It's going to be a great season. Obviously, we're all really excited. So we just started up our social accounts, so please go follow them. Jordan I think will provide more info on those. But we work really closely with teams and the players. We know a lot of the players like really well from a media standpoint, and really we just hope that there's going to be more fans that pay attention to a league like this. And again, diehard hockey fans will pay attention to the OHL, but it really is a good league to pay attention to. The games are good, and you get to support some kids, before they get drafted all the way up until they get drafted. So, there's a lot more reasons than that, but we're all really excited for the season. Ottawa's on the come up. Mississauga was good last year, and obviously Barrie was also good last year. So I think that helps a lot in our coverage and the passion that we have behind the teams. But we're not going to let the bias kind of distract us from the fact that these teams are the league is the league, and we have to be upfront about it. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy the ride that we're about to embark on.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is if you have somebody you want to hear from, us, like particularly from I think we're going to have best access for the 3 teams that we're affiliated with at this point. But, really anybody around the league, if there's somebody you want to hear from, we'd love to bring them on and hopefully get some good conversation going. We have a ban on Luca Pinelli and Bo Akey, I think. That will we'll have them on eventually at some point, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll pick some good characters. I think Frankie and I both know some players that would already fit the mold. I mean, Bo Jelsma comes to mind here, and he's a great resource, a great person to talk to, and his life away from hockey is honestly one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard. So
I'll throw Colin McKenzie out there. We'll have a great chat with Colin McKenzie because that kid is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So we'll Jordan, take us to the outro, man.
I'm excited. And just, I know we didn't talk about them much, but we got a player with exceptional status coming into the OHL this season in Michael Misa. So you better be trying to catch some Saginaw games whenever you can. And ultimately, guys, just really thank you for watching this. If you're actually still here, I mean, that's pretty impressive if you are. And overall, you can follow us on all of our socials. We're currently on Instagram and Twitter at OTalkPod, OTALKPOD. And we're going to be doing a lot more stuff than just the podcast. We're going to have clips on there. We're going to have some thought-provoking graphics that are similar to the questions I just asked. It's going to be a fun time. So I'm really excited for the potential of this podcast. I think we're one day going to even get to do like a live event, maybe at the CHL Top Prospects game, maybe just a random game in November. Who knows? That's kind of the fun of it, I think the journey is really just beginning here. They say the hardest part of starting a podcast is just getting it off the ground, the first few episodes. I think we have the potential to do that. And I think we're starting something really special here. So I'm really excited to get into this journey with you guys.
Same here.
Well said, man. Well said. I like that a lot.
And overall, for Josh and Frankie, this is Jordan, and this has been the O Talk Podcast. Thank you very much, and stay safe.